I'm Paul Perkins with the check of your ag weather. After highs this afternoon in the 60s, our warming cut a little short tomorrow when a cold front sags farther south into Nebraska. Highs still mostly reach into the 60s, even some low 70s over northern Kansas. Northern Nebraska highs, though, only making it to the mid to upper 50s. There also could be some light rain in northern Nebraska for tomorrow night as that cold front sags farther south. In behind the front, our highs on Saturday reach into the low to mid 60s, with the front lifting back to the north as a warm front. Highs on Sunday warm into the mid 60s to the low 70s. Cooler air behind a Pacific cold front for Sunday night gradually cools our highs into the 50s by Wednesday. Light rain is possible with some weak disturbances tracking east for Monday night into Wednesday. For the long-term forecast, most temperatures in Nebraska and Kansas are seasonal the middle portion of next week, while far southwest Nebraska, along with western and central Kansas, are slightly warmer than normal. Temperatures are then warmer than normal in all of Nebraska and Kansas late next week through November 15th. Slightly above normal precipitation is forecast for Nebraska and Kansas the middle of next week. That's before precipitation chances decrease slightly to near normal to slightly above normal for late next week through November 15th. In some big improvements in the latest regional drought monitor, Nebraska increased 21 percentage points to 60% drought-free. It's now drought-free to abnormally dry along and west of the line from Hartington to Greeley to Kearney and Franklin, along with the far southeast. There are areas of moderate to severe drought in portions of south central Nebraska and much of the east. Extreme to exceptional drought coverage still at 11% in Nebraska, including areas along and east of the line from Fullerton to Grand Island, Hastings, and Superior. Kansas continues at 16% drought-free, with drought-free to abnormally dry areas in much of the west to the south central and the northeast and southeast corners. A large majority of Kansas locked in moderate to severe drought. There was a 12 percentage point drop in coverage of extreme to exceptional drought to 8% in Kansas, and that includes pockets from Stockton to Russell, Lincoln and Beloit, Lyons to Hutchinson, as well as Howard to Sedan. For some nearby states, Colorado continues at 58% drought-free, Wyoming remains at 95% drought-free, and South Dakota improved a point to 84% drought-free. Key weather factors affecting the markets include varying temperatures and areas of precipitation in the forecast for the U.S., improved rain for Argentina and central Brazil, and heavy rain in southern Brazil. Pacific storms maintain unsettled and rainy conditions into next week across the Northwest, with the heaviest precipitation falling from the Cascades westward. Moderate to heavy snow affects the northern Rockies, while periods of light precipitation cover much of the northern plains to the Great Lakes. Dry weather prevails the next 5 days across the southern half of the U.S., aside from a few showers along the Atlantic coast of Florida. Mild weather across the western half of the U.S. expands eastward, although chilly conditions should linger along and near the Canadian border. Late in the weekend and early next week, temperatures reaching 80 or higher are common across the deep south. Looking to the middle of next week, there is a chance for widespread rain across the central and southern plains. Argentina's increasing amounts of rain are very favorable for remaining filling winter wheat and developing corn, as well as producing better soil moisture for early soybean planting. Towards southern Brazil, heavy rain is creating problems with flooding and developing corn and soybeans, as well as damaging the remaining wheat crop. After a dry period this weekend into early next week, southern Brazil is forecast to see more rain the mid to late part of next week. For central Brazil, higher rain chances over the next week help with soybean planting and establishment for most areas. With the check of your ag weather, I'm Paul Perkins.